It's time for the Snedeker podcast. The podcast you are listening to. It's time for the podcast, everyone in the world. Everyone who's listening in the world. Not everyone in the world, just everyone who's listening in the world is listening to this podcast. And it starts now. It starts now. I just realized I spent that whole intro looking over here. I should have been looking over here. I flipped around where my camera's positioned on my phone because I needed to charge. A little behind the scenes for you, but how's it going? How you doing? Doing well? Wife's doing good? Kids doing good? I don't really know I think the demographic that listens to this in its small capacity right now doesn't have kids. But hey, maybe someone else, maybe your friend and their wife is doing well, or their husband, or who knows. I don't know your life. It's hard. It's a one way in the comments. If there is an option to comment wherever you're listening to, or you're watching it on YouTube, leave a comment. Tell me how everyone's doing. How's everyone doing? Because it feels good. I talked about last week how summer's around the corner and it just feels so good. And I've come to embrace that I can feel good in the summer, even though this is going to be another slow year. It's already May. January, you seem so optimistic. The biggest changes, obviously, certain things opening up, giving me gigs, certain, collaborations being able to happen now that people are getting vaccinated. It's great. I definitely recommend that if you haven't gotten vaccinated, just go do it. The worst part of the vaccine is comparatively less worse than COVID. But I digress. I'm excited for summer because I get to start some new projects. And that's always nice. New weather, new projects. I've always been the type of person who doesn't let things sit still for too long. I get uncomfortable. I feel like I need to get out there and start doing stuff. And that's kind of how April felt. April was a very relaxed month, I would say. Relaxed in good ways where I was getting more sleep. Relaxed in bad ways where I was waking up halfway into the day and having less daylight to get things done before evening activities or rehearsals or certain gigs. And I even tried it today. I was like, I'm going to get up at 8. I'm going to set my alarm for 8. I'm going to bed before 2. I should be fine. And then the alarm went off at 8. I probably snoozed until 9:45. And I'm used to, on the other side of it, being able to get up before 9, no alarm. That was me for months. I was able to get up before 9 and just go. Just get up, immediately get in the shower, get ready, get out the door. And I need to get back into that because those morning hours, or taking the 40-minute commute out to Third Coast, where I currently am, that doesn't work as well if you're leaving at noon versus if you're leaving at 7:30 or 8:30. So I don't know. This is an aspirational podcast, if anything. You wanna hope. You gotta hope. You gotta hope. I don't know where I'm going with this. You gotta hope. Hope. No, you think I'd be able to sing. Pregnant pause. The things I've been thinking about this week are related to what part of the music industry is strongest right now. All right. And I say that because it doesn't seem like there's any, like, unless you already have an audience and you already have, you know, the attention to what you're up to, it's hard to do any job right now, writing album reviews at you know, certain levels. Of course, everything at the top is doing fine. All of the people that own the entertainment brands, the largest entertainers in the world, you know, people with teams who can be like, well, we can't tour, but we're going to do some pop-up limited release merch, and that should fill in part of the like that's the kind of strategy they can do. They can, you know, they can say like, well, you can't tour Europe, but we are going to create a European exclusive merch item that's going to cost Americans more, but the demand will be from both markets, and you'll get profit either way. And it's like, you know, you sell the merch, you sell the, you know, all the people doing the masterclass courses, these like high quality filmed, multi-part educational packages. You know, you see them all the time. It's, you know, it's some dude you've never heard of trying to sell you the secrets to the universe for $75 a month, or it's a living legend displaying so much talent and wealth of knowledge for like a one fixed price, or it's, you know, a person who does a ton of podcasting and free content and free pamphlets and free Reels posts and Instagram posts, you know, like Ari Herstand, you know, also trying to sell against this audience of people who consume the free stuff, this $1,000 sync licensing course with Vo Williams. I've seen it pop up multiple times. Sync licensing has been the biggest pushed thing right now because it's something you can do remote. It's something that you just need some basic equipment to get started. But it's also, I feel like it's also a pretty competitive space because most times, and this is how I see it too, if you think about, you know, movies, TV, radio jingles, all these things, they want to be able to go, you know, companies don't want to have to shop around a lot. So they find, you know, the big companies or, you know, a regional company, and they go, oh, we like these jingles. And maybe they reach out to the artist directly. You know, I'm not exactly privy to how all that gets set up. But the bottom line is a lot of companies, they don't want to have a variety of contractors. They would much rather have one place to go. So, you know, you think of like the dude who does the Kitchen Nightmares soundtrack, where he's got all the different sound effects and the different clips. He isn't, you know, I don't even know if he's writing that music. Maybe he's just piecing it together. But some of the stuff feels like like it's something. It's raw, and then you just hear. But, you know, you hear it in Hotel Hell, you hear it in 24 Hours to Hell and Back. Like, this dude's just got a career, part of his career now doing that. There's a killer musician, Carter something. I can't remember his name. I just started following him on Instagram, but I've known his work for a few years now with the Kinda Funny folks. You know, there's all of these variants on their theme because they have the... Uh, I can't. I don't know what it is. It's not that. It's like do 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 do, and that's they have all these different versions for all their different podcasts. They have a ton of different podcasts related to different franchises, different gaming things, movies, entertainment. So this dude's just part of his living is making these jingles from his home studio with a handful of instruments, some production tricks, and a MIDI keyboard, and he makes these little jingles, and they're always stylized great. To oh, that's an Xbox podcast. Let's parody Halo. Oh, it's a Marvel. Let's make it let's make it a bombastic Marvel film symphony sound. It's the thing you can do remote, and I see people who do it too. There's people who I can reach out to. For all you Michiganders, Kevin Dupree is one. He he moved out west after years of building kind of a library of songs and styles with different companies, and some of it's syndicated for television and film. And then he also runs Lake FX, which is I think it's a music publishing. It might be licensing. It's probably licensing entity that includes a variety of Michigan musicians from around the country. That either are still in Michigan or have, were born and raised in Michigan's music scene, and now they're in different bigger cities. But it seems like sync licensing, as much as it's being pushed, as much as, someone, Vo Williams, in spite of the annoying, ads that sometimes pop up regarding his course, he has a lot of music in movies and television. So he has a style and a formula, and he puts that out into the world. He doesn't tour. He doesn't need to tour. That's not something he needs to do. He could play shows. He could do some shows, but where he makes his bread and butter is by working from home and just doing a good job and improving on the stuff he already likes doing. And I would love to say that I have the in to that, but not yet. At some point soon, I want to really, it's just about starting. That's half the thing is you can talk about stuff everyone talks about this. You can talk all you want. You can make up whatever. You could say whatever, but it's doing it that matters. And you're like, okay, how do I do it? You just got to start. It doesn't matter what day. It might be a rainy day. It might be a sunny day. You just got to get started. And you're like, how do I get started? What do I need? What equipment do I need? Man, you just need some of the simplest tools in the business, and it all starts with these two hands. And you're like, that's okay. You're not telling me what I need to do. What is the goal and the steps to get to that goal? Man, every path to every rainbow leads to a different pot of gold. So you just gotta keep on finding yours. You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's I joke, but that's sometimes how some of these things feel. It's like, don't you want to make money just from stuff that's been put out there? And you're like, yeah. Well, you need to get good at sync licensing. You're like, how do I get good at it? Take this course and you'll find out. It's like, isn't there just somewhere I could submit songs, or could I just start? Do I make an account and I just start submitting to a platform? Can I start there? You could start for as easy as $1,000. I don't have any money. I was poor before the pandemic. Well, you just don't want it then. You don't want it hard enough. No, I just don't have $1,000. So, yeah, it's always the conundrum. There's plenty of resources apparently for artists and artists around the world, but there's such a surplus of artistry that it gets boiled down to like, this arts organization has money and they want to give it to someone to write a piece for whatever, and then a bunch of people submit, and sometimes there's an application fee for composers to submit, which is dumb. Like, they haven't even done anything and they're paying like $20, and they're not getting paid for the hours they're putting into the piece. They're writing something that hopefully will get them the grant so that they can fund a recording or a performance or some publishing, and they haven't even done. They've just done the draft stage. So if they lose, they just they still have to like take that to the next step, find funding, figure out let's get it printed, let's get it published and distributed, let's get it let's guinea pig some area colleges, like, just to hit them up and see if they'd be interested in reading local music. Like, I don't know. I'm not a full-time composer, so I don't really know all of the bag of tricks that they have. But yeah, it's wild out there. And I would also say that the only other people doing well right now online, it's kind of a mixed bag, because if you're already, like, if you're a Billy Strings, let's say Billy Strings, on continuing to rise in the bluegrass world, recently did a concert with one of the drummers, I think, from the Grateful Dead, like a very on brand thing for him to do. And obviously that's huge. And, there's photos of him hanging out with Post Malone. He's, toured all over these places. Billy Strings can flip on a camera. He could flip on his phone and just have like direct audio to his phone. And like 4,000 people would tune in and watch. Because the nature of the music is different. He doesn't need a lot of lights and polish. Yes, for the live show he does. There's the elements, people playing with lights and smoke machines and like colors, like, really setting the mood and the atmosphere that way. But if it's just him in his basement, it might be a light and a guitar, and it's this intimate vibe, and 4,000 people tune in and they're like, remember Billy at the Billy Fest and Billy, and then they, someone's like, I just bought your vinyl, you sound amazing. It's like, oh, it's like, these are all true statements. But at the same time, there's someone who isn't touring around that much, who has a big following on streaming services. Someone who's made a living on Twitch or YouTube or, Facebook, the streaming platform focused around Facebook is growing because they bought Mixer and they want to be a direct competitor in the space. And a lot of people are turning to Facebook for streaming because of the integration of audiences they've already built. It's hard to get people to go to a new platform, and it's hard to build on a new platform if you don't, have the patience for it. Some people are just, I started streaming games over at facebook.com/touchyourplays, and you can watch me do all those games live on Facebook, but I'm not posting it anywhere else yet. I need like a day to just make clips. I've realized that's where my life has become. I'm making longer form content that needs the snipping of individual pieces of content, and all these like podcasts have clips channels. YouTube is doing shorts now, minute-long video clips. Sometimes, you can have vertical video clips. And it's people like testing out different types of packaging content. So like, like Phil DeFranco will do a recap of yesterday's episode in a short, or the H3H3 podcast will clip out a minute of, the Frenemies podcast or something, or, Game Grumps with their Clips channel. They turned an experimental channel, Grump Out, into a Clips channel, and people can literally timestamp their favorite moments of Game Grumps, and then they can get upvoted, and then the team that helps clip all of those clips to Grump Out, they make those clips and they stylize them. They put out like 2 or 3 a day because, there's like 8 years of Game Grumps to explore. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Like the people who get to a certain point and they have the ability to adapt to a changing landscape. Not everyone is gonna, like, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like getting these emails from like Music Business Worldwide or like some, random company, and they're like, you can make hundreds of dollars through sync licensing. How do you do it? And it's like, well, not during a pandemic, not during, like, if you're just starting from scratch. Like, it's going to take a while for you to refine your skills, and maybe you don't have a producer's ear, maybe you don't have, the income to work with a producer right now, so all you're doing is making demos. Like, it's a process, and the only way it gets better is if you start doing, obviously, but there's, other factors that go into it. I don't know. I said I was excited for summer. Bottom line, I'm still excited because there's plenty to do. There's plenty I need to continue to tweak, this podcast being one of them. I like the shorter format. I'm stretching right now for you audio listeners. I like the shorter format. But I don't know. It's and I'm only 18 episodes in. I heard from a couple different podcast sources that you don't really know what your podcast voice is until after, the first year, maybe 2 years. And right now the market is flooded too. It's like, why are you making a podcast? Everyone's making a podcast. It's like, because it's fun. I just happen to jump in when it's like at its most saturated. Like there's podcasts for some of the most niche things, like the most niche. Like if you want to, like, this is a podcast about Southern Wisconsin cheese, and you're like, what? It's like it's called Cheddar Podcast. We've been sued by cheesemakers. Or you can listen to like, it's like, in 1934 there were 2 months in rural Alabama that were the most terrifying months of Jesse Mayweather's entire life. Yeah, I was the victim of it's like anonymous voice thing. I was a victim of the Alabama killer. The Alabama killer. Where can we find the Alabama killer? What's good? The Alabama killer. There's a lot you need to fear at night. No, that's bad. I don't know how to make spooky music, I guess. It's a little more jazzy. But you can find that podcast and you can dive into it. So, hey, if anything, it's a look into the messy world of my life, where I get so many things done, and yet how does it all fit together? What is the end goal? Why are you doing all this? What are you doing with all these podcasts? I've heard you on the radio, and now you're doing the internet. I don't have time for all of the platforms. Hulu, Voodoo. Netflix and chill. But yeah, I'm just here. I'm just here being who I am, and you can love it or leave it. She was a girl in the big city, and she wanted something more. I'm just tired of the life I'm living right now, There's, I don't feel like I can go anywhere, I need something a little bit exciting. I need a change of scenery. So now she's moved to the Hollywood Hills to find her true love. But what she doesn't realize is that among the stars, her whole world is about to change. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Oh my God, he's like casual, but like not clingy, and I just love that. You bumped into him once at a Staples. This fall, we'll learn that love, what's something related to office supplies? We'll learn that love, could leave a permanent marker stain. I don't know. What am I writing for? This fall on ABC. Or no, this probably is on Fox. This fall on Fox. Tune in to, I don't know, see another piece of garbage. just keep tuning in. Like my sitcom, it's called what's it called? It's got to do something with Staples. Because then, like she'll get a job at Staples because she's new to the area, and she hasn't yet found her acting role, and she ran into that cute guy going into Staples to get some letterhead so she could write to her parents, and now she's like, I want the job here, and so she gets a job in the back room and doesn't really get to see him that much, but she befriends all of the people in the back and shipping, and she starts to build a community of people who support her outside of the business. And then, season 2, there's like more of a love interest. And then season 3 is like, oh, it's, she's getting opportunities, and that could pull her away from her Staples family. I don't know. You can go ahead and produce that sitcom if you want. I'll just sit here and be like, that was my idea. But we're out of time because I don't want to go to do another sitcom. Thanks for listening to the Ramblin' Scramble with Dangus Snedeker, and you can subscribe, you can follow, you can donate precious treasures, family heirlooms, offer quips and advice. Sell me insurance. You can sell me insurance in the comments. Hit up those comments with your best auto insurance pitch. But DutcherSnedeker.com is where you can find everything that I'm up to. You can also go to Dutcher Snedeker's Patreon, which is patreon.com. /Dutcher Snedeker. You can type in my name into Google and find stuff. I play with Earth Radio and Blushing Monk and Normal Mode, and I work with Third Coast Recording Company. I don't know. There's a lot of places you can find me. I write album reviews, so if you need an album review done, hit me up. What else do I do? I don't know. I could jump on a podcast, jump on your podcast. I could make music for a thing. I don't know. I could do a lot of stuff. Go ahead, try me. But either way, thank you for enjoying. I'm assuming you've enjoyed it if you made it this far. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week for something that's hopefully less of a trash can on fire. Something that's a little bit more put together, but it's also off the top of my head, so sometimes my head's not all put together. Baby.